Hey guys, Deathbyphiw here. Welcome back to my channel. The devs just released a new retail patch notes for some changes in Overwatch 2. Changes are pretty much as I expected as far as what they nerf, what they buff, but there's one big significant change that went in opposite direction of what I thought. So let's take a look at it here. Here's the patch notes. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description below, but Overwatch 2 retail patch notes April 30th, 2024. And this is live as I'm recording and as we speak. So when you log in to play today, these changes are in effect. The biggest change, which we won't leave any speculation here as to what it is and just go straight to it. Hero updates. Damage roll passive healing reduction increased from 15 to 20%. They reverted the nerf to the DPS passive and brought it back to its original number of 20%. Okay. We're starting off bad. Don't get me wrong. I like everything else about these patch notes, and I'll go into that in a little bit. I do not, and this is the only thing I don't like, I do not like this change. You know, queue times are steadily increasing, even during peak times. Why is that? We're hurting tank players more, and we need to figure out ways to keep the tank player base happy and keep them involved in playing the game. How, in what world does this mean more tank players are going to want to play? It's just this passive ultimately hurts tank players the most. I honestly thought they were going to reduce the passive by like maybe 2.5 or at most 5% down to 10% because it's hurting tank players so much. Some tanks are just completely and utterly melted, and it's making the game even more unfun for tank players. So I'm sorry, devs. Yes, this is not going to be an entire complaining video. I do not like this change. I think this hurts the game more than it benefits it. I'm curious to see why and maybe understand why they did this change. I was checking out Alec Dawson's Twitter yesterday where he said that their dev team is going to be implemented a patch for today around 2 o'clock Eastern time. And you know, sometimes they post different details there, so I'm curious to hear what this change was about. Maybe they see something we don't see. They saw something that they made this change for some reason, and we'll find out hopefully about it. But I personally, I just don't like this change at all. Now, moving on to the good. Yes, there's some good stuff in this patch. It's a small patch, not too long of a read, but moving on down. Orisa is getting nerfs. Yay, the unkillable horse is finally getting something to balance her quite a bit, and I think this is a pretty significant change to her and will ultimately make her not meta anymore. That's my personal opinion. If that's the case, that she still is meta or still is good, so be it. So Fortify duration is being reduced from 4.5 to 3.5 seconds. I originally said reduce her cooldowns for like her javelin, her Fortify, her javelin spin. Increase that cooldown by adding a second on. This effectively does the same thing, right? It reduced the duration of it by 1 second, but I do think, you know, you don't have it up as much anymore and it doesn't last as long. So there's your 1 second nerf, a little bit different of how that approach was, but I agree with it. It needed a little bit of a nerf. This is the biggest change, which I didn't even think of. Orisa now moves 20% slower while fortified. It's pretty significant because if you think Orisa's combo is kind of like, let me pop Fortify, Javelin Spin, and like charge in super fast into the enemy team and pop my ult to like delete the backline like a squishy, like a support or something. I don't think she really has that play anymore. So this is really going to switch up like her ability to do pretty much how to use her ultimate and when to use it. I'm curious to see how this plays out. My original thought was just give her crit damage taken in Fortify, like allow headshots when she's fortified, right? Because like maybe when she ults she takes crit damage. I'm not exactly sure. I don't think she takes crit damage. Let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong or not. But when she's fortified right now, she doesn't take crit damage, and when she's ulting she doesn't either. Maybe, I don't know. But a lot of times what people do is they fortify when they ult so they can't take any crit damage, and I believe she takes reduced damage taken when she's ulting, so it's pretty broken. Now this changes up you know, how she's played. The other thing is, I thought they would have nerfed her range, her like have damage fall off on her primary fire. Right now there isn't any, and I think that's really strong from a tank's perspective. So this is still good. Javelin spin, also the cooldown was increased from 7 to 9 seconds. I think this is a little harsh, but I'm not complaining, right? I'm not complaining. I thought it just 1 second would have been more than enough, but they added 2, so thumbs up. And you know, props where it's due. Thank you, devs, and I hope the meta shifts to something more fun. Now, moving on to damage. Venture. So people are still trying to figure her out, but I still do think that she's really good. I don't think she's S tier. Like, obviously the Tracer and the Sojourns of the world are still S tier in my personal opinion, but Venture was pretty good. The one thing I had about Venture that I didn't like is I didn't really like the exchange I would have when I'm playing against a Venture. I really didn't like on DPS or support, when a Venture comes and dives into the backline, how that exchange happened. She gets all this armor, she does a lot of damage, and it just seemed like, I don't know how to explain it. I just didn't like the exchange and the way it felt. I don't know a better way of putting it. If you feel the same way, let me know in the comments below, like if you could put it into words for me. But I just didn't like that exchange, and I think this patch does kind of balance out that exchange a little bit more, right? So her smart excavator and her maximum explosion damage has been decreased from 45 to 40. This is good. A 5 damage reduction I think is appropriate. Drill dash initial impact damage decreased from 40 to 30. So I think she still does the same amount of damage with drill dash, but the initial impact damage is decreased, and then maybe there's more damage over time as it's hitting you. I'm not sure, or maybe they just reduced it 10 overall, because they don't mention anything else about damage over time. So this is a pretty significant change, pretty significant nerf on drill dash in my personal opinion. And then her ultimate is the best thing in her kit. Don't get me wrong, like everyone's ultimate should be the best thing in their kit. It's not with Cass. I know Cass is good right now, he's A tier, but hint hint, change Cass's ultimate to something other than me using it as a reload. Okay, I ranted enough. Okay, I get it. Cass is like A tier right now and he's pretty good. I can't complain. I'm a hit scam main on DPS. I can't complain. But I like this change by the Blizzard devs. Don't like nerf the damage, because it is really strong and it should be impactful as an ultimate, especially as a DPS. But they increased the charge cost for her ultimate by 10%. I like this change because her ultimate's really good, it's really strong, and it like can two-shot most heroes in the game and make it a little bit harder to get, so it happens a little less in games. So I'm curious to see how this plays out. Maybe Venture moves down from high A tier to like B tier. Maybe it pushes her down to C tier just because of the way her kit works. I'm not too sure, but you know, we'll see how it plays out. And yeah, you know, this is good in my opinion, besides the DPS passive. So thank you Blizzard devs for this patch and not waiting 10 years to implement changes, because a lot of the Overwatch community has been complaining about Orisa, and Orisa specifically. So thank you so much, I appreciate it. And then there's just some general bug fixes that they've done in the game. One of the things that I did notice before was when you did block someone with streamer mode enabled, it showed their name, which was kind of funny. I was like, what's the point of this feature if I just block someone, it just changes their name? So like if you saw like a weird name like Pizza Man 2020 or something like that, I don't know, you'd be like, oh, they probably have streamer mode on, let me block them real quick, and then it would show their name. It was kind of funny. So I noticed that before. I didn't report the bug, but I didn't think it was a bug. I just thought it was the way that the thing was, but they're fixing that, and they're, you know, they're changing some other things here that you could take a look at and review either in this video or go to the patch notes that are linked in the description. So if you haven't already, please like this video. Drop a comment in the comment sections below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you agree? Do you disagree with me about these changes? Are they good or bad? Let me know. I'm curious to hear what you have to say. Share this with a friend, and most of all, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It really does help me out a lot and motivates me to continue making gaming content like this video here. And as always, happy gaming.